And now for today's business news in top story, Niguna Foods, New Zealand's largest market for health foods, has announced the plan to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Central Management, the president of Naguna, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in Ireland, would allow Naguna to include sales of its food product in Europe. Ms. Layton is scheduled to meet next week with the Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the financial details of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand largest market of health foods, has allowed the plan to merge with the Wilson Natural Foods Centre. The President of Regula made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food product in Europe. Midland is grew the mid-late week with Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the financial detail of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health food, had allowed to plan merger with Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Regula, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food products in Europe. Midland is grew to meet next week with the Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the physical detail of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health food, had allowed the plan to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Labour, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Mega to include sales of its food product in Europe. Mr. Lam is scheduled to meet the next week with the Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the financial details of the plan. And now for the today business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health foods, has allowed the plan to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Regula, made the announcement at the press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food product in Europe. Ms. Alatham is scheduled to meet next week with Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the physical detail of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health foods, had allowed the plan to meet with Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Regula, made the announcement at the press conference this morning. Explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food product in Europe. Midland is scheduled to meet next week with Wilson Natural Foods to executive to complete the financial detail of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand largest market of health food, had allowed the plan to merge with the Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Regula, made the announcement at the press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food product in Europe. Midland is scheduled to meet next week with Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the financial detail of the plan. And now for today's business news in our top story, Mega Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health foods, has allowed the plans to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Sandarathan, the president of Regula, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which is based in England, would allow Regula to include sales of its food product in Europe. Ms. Alatham is scheduled to meet next week with Wilson Natural Foods executive to complete the financial detail of the plan. And now today business new in out of story Niagara Foods New Zealand Naga market of health foods had allowed the Finland to mirror with Wilson Natural Foods and Nathan. The business of Nauru made the announcement at the parade conference this morning, saying that the mirror with Wilson, which is but in English, would allow legal include sales of its food product in Europe. The line is scheduled to meet next week with the Wilson Natural Foods exclusive to comply the federal detail of the Berlin. And for today's business sale in Auto Story, Niagara Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health foods, had allowed the Finland to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Jonathan, the president of Lega, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. Significant that the merger with Wilson, which is but in English, will allow the Gala to increase sales of its food product in Europe. Jonathan is scheduled to meet next week with the Wilson Natural Foods executive to comply the federal detail of the Finland. And now for today's business news in Australia, Niagara Foods, New Zealand's largest market of health foods, had allowed the Finland to merge with Wilson Natural Foods. Senator, the business of Niagara, made the announcement at a press conference this morning. She explained that the merger with Wilson, which but in England, would allow Niagara to increase sales of its food product in Europe. Marathon is scheduled to meet next week with the Wilson Natural Foods executive to comply the financial detail of the plan.